So if you go on Reddit, there are a lot of anonymous people there who vent and bring out their feelings because sometimes they feel like they have no one to talk to and they need someone else to chime in or tell them or share a story with them that's similar. So there are a lot of stories on Reddit where I keep telling you guys that some of us special need parents do not want to put our other kids as the guardian of our special need child when we're no longer here, that they have to take up the responsibility, and we get a lot of flack for it. And these kids are on Reddit spitting out their gall because they can't tell it to their parents because they don't want to be perceived as evil, selfish, just plain down straight evil. So they go to Reddit and tell their stories and how they feel about the situation and that they don't want to take on this responsibility. So I'm going to share 2 stories with you that I found on Reddit to show you that these kids that you're having, it's not their responsibility to take care of a child with autism or a child with special needs. If they want to, then so be it. But you as a parent cannot force it on them to take that responsibility if you're no longer here. They can maybe direct the facility they go in or whatever, but you can't force it onto them. So these kids are coming on Reddit and telling people how they don't want this responsibility, and as soon as they reach a certain age that they just want to go and never come back because they can't deal with it. They're stressed out with it. So let's take a look at these kids' stories and see how they view it, that you maybe can get a different perspective from a child's side that has nothing to do with this. All right, let's get into the video. Hey special family, so this is one of the articles that I was talking about on Reddit where kids, siblings, family members of people with special needs sometimes come to vent and ask for advice from strangers because they don't feel safe discussing it with parents or family and friends because they feel like they will be judged or will be called cruel or insensitive. So one Redditor wrote this article and it's titled, "I Hate My Autistic Sibling." I'm leaving out or slightly editing some details because I don't want people to know or trace it back to me. My sibling is 20 years old, but now they require constant caretaking and they are way too much for any one person to handle. My mom mainly takes care of them and I help too. I help to make it easy on my mom, not because I want to help my siblings out. Firstly, they are big, very big. I told you guys that medication will do it to them. 1 year and 20 pounds later, I can testify to that. Way too big to be doing the stuff that they do every day. They jump around on their bed constantly and we have to replace their mattress every few years. We also have to keep it away from the wall because otherwise they will beat their head against it and put a lot of holes in it. You can't let them touch anything with any part of their body because they will destroy it. You can let them have go unsupervised with food for very long because they will spill it, smear it, or do some other destructive behavior. Also, they eat constantly. Yup, their medication. And I mean constantly. They can't go 5 minutes without stuffing their damn face with food. It's a drain on finances and resources. Even worse is they are really picky whenever we go out to eat and pay for them to eat what they want. They won't touch anything, but as soon as we get home, they'll ask for the usual cheap foods. Now, that's because of their food aversion, and it lets them... It's like you eating a live bug. That's how it feels to them. So you can't blame them for that. Knowing that they have a food aversion or sensitive to certain textures of food, what I do in my case, I check the menu before I go to a restaurant and I make sure they have the things that he usually eats, like fries, nuggets, pizza, or flatbread, or else I won't go. So maybe we can try that approach. My siblings also yell and beat on table as loud as possible, and then everyone around us glare at us like it's somehow our fault that they do that. Yeah, we get those looks all the time. After a while, I grow immune to them, but I understand how you feel. We can rarely take my siblings out of the house for that reason. They also bite themselves and pull their hair out and beat stuff against their skin, and we have had CPS called on us multiple times over stuff that they do to themselves. The school would see the marks all over the arms or bruises on the leg and automatically assume that we did it. One time, a CPS worker showed up with 4 cop cars threatening us like we were criminals and like we were already guilty. They went into my room, tearing through it. I don't know what the heck they were expecting or wanting to find, but I obviously didn't have it. What happened to innocent until proven guilty? Oh gosh, she's been through it. I can tell you without a doubt that she's never been abused. As much as I talk about them like that, I still wouldn't hit them because they can't really defend themselves. And that would just make me the A in everyone else's eyes as well. That and my mom still loves them. But back to the eating habits. I suspect that the constant eating and drinking, not alcohol, is one of their many stemming behavior. But at this point, I really don't give a ish. It's exhausted to no, it's because of the medication, honey, I promise you. It's exhausting to have to go back and forth between the kitchen and having to feed them. We get no break from it whatsoever. My mom has ulcers on her feet and think it's from being on them constantly because of my autistic sibling. She doesn't get a chance to rest. They won't let anybody ever rest for 5 minutes. Even and naturally, they have gotten to where they don't want to sleep. Melatonin, honey. Melatonin is the GOAT. And now we have to deal with them throughout the night too. I feel her pain, like she's emotionally and mentally drained. You can hear it. If my mom tries to sleep, they'll get up and wake her up because they want something. Leave our mom alone and leave me alone while you're at it. They can't fight for themselves, honey. You said that before. I understand your pain. I understand what you're going through. But let's look at it from their angle. They can help themselves. That used to be the only time we could get a break from it, but now that doesn't look like it's going to be a thing either. And of course, they still wear diapers. Ever had to change a messy diaper from a fully grown adult that has hit puberty? It's way worse than it was with a baby. Yeah, she's been through it, and it looked like she's really stepping in to help her mom out because her mom is worn out. And changing a diaper from a child going through puberty ain't no joke. I still do it. I can testify to that. And the eating constantly is from the medication, and that makes them gain weight seriously. It's crazy. I can feel her pain. And now they want to be up at night. The not sleeping is one of the side effects of autism, but melatonin helps me a lot with that part. And no, they aren't very verbal. They can talk a little, like what they want to eat, something specific. They'll say, I want chips, and they talk in a lot of gibberish, but you can't converse with them. And this is not an exaggeration when I say this, but our mom could be convulsing on the floor of a heart attack or a stroke, and my sibling would still look straight at her while it's going on and continue asking for food. Poor baby. They don't know, honey. They really won't. If they see a stroke, they won't even know it's a stroke. I don't think we could blame them for them. Oh, poor thing. I get the feeling that they don't care about what they put mom or me through. One day, I found out a close friend died, and I was sitting in the other room sobbing, and the entire time, they are talking over me going, I want tea, over and over. It was so insensitive and disrespectful. I almost lost my cool, and by throwing the cup they drink out of right at their head, but I didn't. She's frustrated. She's really overwhelmed and frustrated. And I just know once my mom is gone that I am going to be expected to provide and care for them. What about the plans I have for my own future and life? Why am I supposed to be tied down and stuck with a permanent anchor just because my sibling has something wrong with them? And I also had nothing to do with them being born. So why does it have to be my problem? See, guys? I told you. There are people walking around here with the notion and the guilt talking their kids guilt, talking their kids like you have to take care of your special needs child. Have you ever asked them how they feel? These kids need therapy because look ahead. I mean, I didn't say she did. I am not banking on that. I have never told my mom this, but once that day comes, if I can't find some sort of nurse to come here and take care of them, then I plan to just put them in a home somewhere and then forget about them. I know that sounds harsh, but I have been putting up with this ish for 21 years. We are worn absolutely ragged, and we never can catch a break. I also get tired of being told every single time I try to complain about it, well, they can't help it. I just did the same thing. I'm sorry, baby. I don't care. I really don't care if they can't help it or not. I can't help if I am effing sick of it. This is the confusing part. I think I hate them, but I don't think I want to hate them. No, you don't want to hate them. You're just exhausted and tired. And one person commented, and this is what she said. Hey, I get your situation entirely. Me too. It sounds like me and my autistic brother, who's also big and tends to smack on furniture. He also pretty aggressive. Me and my older brother are also expected to take care of our brother when my parents die. But I'm also just thinking of putting him in a home when that happens because he's just impossible to take care of. It's honestly just better to hand family members like this over to people who are literally qualified to take care of these kinds of people. My point, I've been preaching this. Like people come at me, family come at me, I don't care. I would feel better knowing that they're hands of qualified people. People talk bad about doing that, but honestly, it's worse for them. Exactly. To not get the proper care they need and for you to suffer because you can't take care of them. I just want you to know you're not alone and that this stuff is so hard. It's also hard trying not to hate them despite them acting like this. Wish you luck and getting through this. See, guys, that was my only point. That's my point that I wanted to make with this, and she said it nicely. I would feel better having my son somewhere where I know he's properly taken care of because I won't wish autism on my worst enemy. I won't wish a meltdown on my worst enemy. Yesterday, let me tell you a little story. Yesterday, I've been tried yesterday. Ramsey had a meltdown from 10 a.m. to 11 p.m. Medication didn't work. Nothing worked. At one point, I started crying. That's how bad it was. Yeah. There are two types of meltdown. There's one where there's no tears and it's just constant. He's just going and then he'll calm down. But then there's that other one. I hate that meltdown. I don't want to see that meltdown because I can see that something is bothering my child. He can't communicate it. I can't help him. And his way to deal with it is having a meltdown constantly. At one point, I got him dressed, got in the car, and I started driving. Do not ask your girl where she was going. I don't know. I was just driving because I was driving and crying and driving and crying because he kept crying. And then like 5 minutes into the drive, he got quiet. He was watching the cars. I'm like, okay, I ain't stopping this car. We don't keep driving. I drove my butt way out of town, went to the country to my family's house and stayed there till it was close to bedtime. Because I was at my family's house. It was coming in and out, but they have a big backyard. So we were able to manage it. My uncle came with me. We were playing soccer with him. But you see, on that drive home, I had to call his dad. His dad stayed with me on the phone. We were talking to him till I got home. It was an hour drive, but he was at it the whole hour. It was like, I won't wish this on my worst enemy. You have not lived and see patience until you've dealt with a special needs child. Then you will see your patience. But you have to think about your other kids. Like, this is part that played too. So I'm going to put a part 2 to this video. I don't want to make it too long. So come back tomorrow for part 2. Bye, guys, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.